Hey Gemini, it's about time I finally get to do Gemini. I normally put you on the front end, but I'm trying to be fair to everybody, and so I'm doing you last here. I'm so glad to finally get to you. You have a very interesting reading. Real quick, there's an April Astrological Report. There's a long version, short version. Go for the long version. It's called full version. April Astrological Report, and the other one's called Short Look. So they're there for you for all the energies of April that you could possibly want to know, for you and everybody else. And this one, though, is just for you with the tarot reading with this. I got to tell you, there's some fascinating information, because the one thing that's real, there's a lot of growth. A lot of growth in yours, a lot of growth in learning. Now, it's definitely with relationships. Now, here's what we've got. One of the biggest themes is that it's kind of like growing up in a relationship. The relationship itself grows up. There's something about the relationship that grows up. And whenever you have that, there's always a slight bit of loss of almost like innocence of a sort. You know, when you grow up, it's like the level of kind of the Romeo-Juliet level has to go to the mature level. So there's aspects that Romeo and Juliet can't ever really totally have again once you go to that more mature level. So it's like a benefit and boundaries and stuff that happen in the mature level, but then you slightly miss or mourn some of the you know, what you lost in the Romeo-Juliet level, that you won't really see that again. But if you, every relationship has to progress. So we're seeing that within your cards. Let me go to the overview, the top view. So one thing that we're seeing is definitely with your Knight of Cups here, okay? And it's within your World card is on top of your Knight of Cups. And the one thing that you have is that your World card is right side up in this lane. The way it crosses is actually right side up, and the Devil card is upside down. Well, that's really great, because that shows an awareness to something within this love offering relationship, that you no longer are going to take on so many actions or doings. You're relieving yourself of certain almost like levels of responsibilities or overdoing. You know, sometimes like in a relationship, something goes one way more than the other. One person's taking care of one person more than the other. And like the one thing that this is doing is saying, letting go of that, because there's limitations that you're now aware of that are no longer going to bound you or be obsessed or addicted to, right? Because you're like maturing in it. It's a freedom, because you become a whole person with your whole world. It's a really good state to be in, and it's in awareness when the Devil card is reversed. It's growing. It's very positive. And what we see is within over here, within kind of like the environment, because it shows there was something that happened in your sort of like your environment, whether it be home or work or this or that, that you've or the relationship, that you felt like you had to defend yourself, and it was kind of something you happened that you didn't really plan on, or I don't know if it was a situation or a conversation, but in the end you have the higher ground. Somebody has the higher ground, and so they no longer really, even if they feel like they have to defend themselves, they don't. You know, like the one thing with this card that you see and you always have to look at is like, this guy is the Seven of Wands. Wands are actions and doings, and he looks like he's fighting off a mob, but we have to remember he has the higher ground. I mean, what are they going to do? Beat at his feet or his ankles or something? Like, he really does have the higher ground, and he needs to be reminded of that. But sometimes when we go through an aggressive Tower card in a situation, you know, it's hard to remember that because we're in the moment. But the nice thing is you have the Hangman card here within, you know, a very nice reflection upon your choices that you need to make and the actions that you need to take. So it's a very balanced look at things right? Because we have here within your attitude and your Empress, you have the Empress twice here, right? And you also have the Queen of Pentacles. You have the Empress twice and the Queen of Pentacles. Now, those cards are very nurturing, okay? And so this also has to do with your level of how you nurture the relationship, the situation, the people, how you nurture. And this is like the give and take in the relationship. You'll see this one is just like you have the pentacles here, and you have this person like he's giving, right? And there's the balance of the scales, right? It's a give and take card of manifesting. Sometimes it can be with money, sometimes it can be with our offerings, but it's a give and take. Who's giving, who's offering. It's beneficial to everybody if it's in balance. That's why the scales there. So, and with your Empress, it says that there's a level of the Empress that is not totally satisfied with the balance within that. That's why in your center card here, you're getting a realization, an awareness about something that's making you mature, because you have your Romeo and Juliet here, which has a delay or not victorious, which means it's needing to grow. It's needing to grow, which is totally fine, because here's we'll come back, but we'll jump into the future line, because in the future line it talks about having another conversation with this scenario, this situation, where you realize that the type of, sometimes when you argue, you're going to lose. It depends on how you want to have, the conversation. Let me go back over here. Sometimes how you want to have, the fives there, the Five of Swords with intellect and words, and when you argue and fight with the ones you love, it can be like a lose-lose. So you have to think about, how do I really want to have this conversation with this person? Because I do love them, I do want to have a relationship with them. What does that want to look like? Because you have the Seven of Cups that's reversed, which means getting a reality check, having your dreams and aspirations, or what you think or you're dreaming about it, become more realistic. But that also means that you can then create it if it's more realistic. So it's a good place to be. It's like not wanting to fight about the petty things or whatever you've been fighting about. It's not worth it. But being realistic and awareness and where the relationship can go and what it can look like, the limitations. You still want to give nurturing. And it says that in the future, the very near future here, you're going to have satisfaction with your emotions, and your Empress is going to feel satisfied and full. It's a good card. You've got the Nine of Cups, where there's a little smugness of satisfaction, being able to give and receive within the Mother Nature Empress card the next coming couple of weeks. You're finding your balance. You're finding your balance. Because like when you have these realizations, you know your realizations of it, that can be brought about by the Tower card. It makes you realize some things. And then, and sometimes it says in the past that when the magician is upside down, it can be a little like someone lied or was a trickster, right? And you're trying to nurture everything and found out that element, and so you have to rebalance everything. Can be with hopes of fear, a little bit of sorrow within the level of letting a aspect of it go, but it's almost like this. It's like being more flexible in some areas and not holding on to the way it used to be, because the Four of Pentacles can be holding on too tight, and then you don't give it room to be flexible to develop into something else. So I'm really curious to see where this all goes, because then I was about to say that there's an aspect of it or something that within your destiny and your fate card, there's an aspect of it that has to end, because it's covered by the death card. So there's an aspect of it that has to complete and end. Sometimes it's just like the relationship has to take itself to the next level, so that's completed, right? It's a solid bookend where you're not going to go back again. You know, sometimes when something matures, you know that you can never go back to the way it was. But it doesn't mean that the way forward isn't good. It just means you can't go back. That way of being, or that thing is done. So there, because it makes sense, because it all talks about getting realistic. It talks about maturing, realizations. It does say that you're satisfied. So it really does feel quite a bit like a relationship in your life that's obviously important to you. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like encircling pretty much the whole reading. Fascinating. You're the one this far with the biggest theme on more so relationship, particular relationship. More, it could be the mate relationship, or it could be just a very important heart, karmic relation. When I say karmic, I mean when two souls come together to achieve something within that relationship, whether it be back from a past life, or just, you know, you have goals and you're trying to give it to each other in your growth. So I wonder what that's going to be. But it's fascinating. Really, I like it. I like it because it shows you growing a lot, very mature. It's very positive. You know, sometimes we don't always want to have certain realizations, but it's okay. It's fine. It's good to know. Good to know. So that was your reading. I hope that it is helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the month, and we'll talk in May. All right. Mush mush. Talk to you soon.